and welcome to this week's episode of Beyond This, the podcast where we talk grounded spirituality for everyday life and everyday purpose. If we haven't met before, my name is Matilda and I am a professional psychic medium based here in Australia, and I've been practicing for well over 20 years. Today's episode is all about ethical mediumship, and I am joined a little bit later in today's episode with the wonderful Megan Alisa. We got together and had a chat about some of the things we see on social media, what ethical mediumship should look like, and what you as consumers should look for when looking for a practitioner to suit your needs. I'm going to jump into some topics surrounding that shortly. A little bit later in the episode, as always, I'm going to talk about new predictions that I see coming in. And I'm also going to give you just a little bit of oversight of what I see in current affairs at the moment and a few heads ups that you really should listen to. This has been, it's been a weird week because the energy is sort of easier. It feels freer, yet there's an expectancy in the air. And I know a lot of people are waiting for the downfall of President Trump. And I see his presidency coming to an end over the next couple of months. I've already said that quite clearly. Middle of the year-ish. And we're sort of some of the way there. But I don't think it's going to make that big a difference to the administration just yet. There needs to be some big changes. But I'll talk a little bit more about that later in the episode. I've also got a wonderful meditation for helping bring yourself back to center that I really think many people are going to need that as we get through to sort of like the middle of April. It's going to feel incredibly dicey. So, and I will talk about that a little later. The more you can manage your own energy, the better and more comfortable you will feel. The more you stop allowing external sources to dictate your day to day, it is really going to help you. All right. Ethical mediumship. That's the topic for today. It's not just about accuracy. It is about self-awareness, responsibility, boundaries, and emotional regulation. Many people that we see on social media, it's not that they don't have a skill or an ability. It is that they are not spending time working on themselves, working on their development, either as a person or as a medium. A medium who is not centered can project over, interpret, seek validation, push for information, become attached to being right, and unintentionally influence the sitter. Returning to center ensures the medium remains neutral, allows evidence to unfold naturally, avoids ego interference, and protects both the sitter and medium and maintains energetic and emotional integrity. Ethics always begins with self-awareness. It's not only about rules and, oh my God, I'm better than you, or anything like that. It is an internal regulation. The danger of urgency and emotional pressure is real. And people take silence from the sitter as a failure, and then they'll often look for urgent validation from what they're giving. And we really need to learn to return to center, to protect the sitter, to protect ourselves, to understand that our own belief system has nothing to do with delivering messages from spirit. There are signs that a sitter is not centered, including rushing, fishing, repeating generalized statements, overinterpreting symbolism, and emotional over-identification. Ethical responsibility to pause when not centered is so important. And professional mediums may need to reset partway through a reading to maintain clarity or allow information to build. It is so important that if you feel you have an ability, and many, many people do, and the more people that work with spirit and bring that information through, real good identifiable proof, the better. Everyone is going to find the medium that works for them. I've always said I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and that's fine. I'm not here to fight for attention. I'm not here to get more readings. I actually need to be doing less. And I'm not here for everyone to like me. I'm here to deliver the truth. If you are a developing medium, please take the time to work on your own self-awareness, your own regulation. Take your time to remove yourself from the information you are delivering, because you are so important to the evolution of this world that doing this before you're ready, doing this before you are developed, doing this before you have really had a chance to get to know who you are and what makes you tick can cause more damage and more harm than it can good. And today we are exploring that with Megan Alisa. We're talking about ethics within mediumship. Megan Alisa is a mediumship teacher and medium based in California. She's deeply passionate about helping people develop their abilities in a responsible and grounded way. Megan is known for encouraging discernment, integrity, and thoughtful practice, especially in a time where mediumship and spiritual work are becoming more visible across social media. In this conversation, we are exploring what ethical practice really looks like in the metaphysical space, how we support students safely, and how we maintain standards that protect both practitioners and those seeking connection. We also have a really good laugh at some of the stuff that we do see on social media. Um, so I will leave you with that interview now. Okay, today I am really pleased to be joined by Megan Alisa, a medium who is also a teacher at the Oakbridge Institute. She's deeply passionate about helping develop people's abilities in a responsible and grounded way.
Mm-hmm.
Mega is known for encouraging discernment, integrity, and thoughtful practice. So we're going to have a great discussion with Megan. And thank you again for joining me. You were on my podcast when
Yeah.
I started a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be back. Thank you for having me. I love talking to you and I love talking about mediumship. So I'm glad we're here together, getting a chance to do that.
And ethical mediumship is something that seems to have bypassed social media. I am forever blocking people.
Yeah.
How about you?
I definitely hit the block button now and again. I try really hard to just I go through phases, I go through phases. But I think definitely whenever I've talked about ethics, it's never been particularly popular. Those are not my most popular videos.
Yes.
Um, yeah, how have you found that?
I have to stop myself from getting banned. I was watching something somebody was doing the other day, and the urge to comment,
Yes.
because there is a difference between underdeveloped,
Right.
which I think is a whole other basket of problems,
Right.
and people that intentionally set out to be salacial and make salacial content
True.
in order to get the likes and follows because they're a member of the Creator Fund or for whatever means. So there is a big difference between those two.
I do agree, but I also think one leads to the other. Like, I think a lot of these people are severely underdeveloped or not developed
Yes.
at all. And
Mm-hmm.
so they see certain things at, maybe on TikTok or maybe sometimes a Long Island medium walking up to strangers and looks like she's just doing readings out of nowhere, which is not actually what's actually happening.
Right.
because there's like a whole crew there and people sign off legally. There is actual consent. But I think a lot of the people place the wrong intention on mediumship. They sensationalize it, like you're saying. They put their ego in front. They are doing it for likes. They're doing it for views. They're doing it for money. They're not doing it necessarily to show that consciousness is coming through and to give support and love and to do it in a way that's actually helpful to people. Instead, they find ways that are unfortunately very harmful.
Let's just talk about that for a minute
Yeah.
because that is something that seems to have bypassed a lot of people.
Hmm.
Why we do what we do.
Yeah. Okay.
And for me, it's to show that love is eternal, to show the continuation of consciousness, to show that your loved one is around you every day, and to bring that healing and peace. How
Yeah.
how about you?
That was definitely a part of it for me and still is a big part of it for me. Another couple parts of it for me are knowing the truth and living in the truth. And then
Yes.
also offering, once people understand that that is the truth, then what does that mean to your life? Right? Like, how do you conduct your life once you know that? Once you know that one day when your body perishes, you don't, right? So,
Yeah.
how do you then change what you're doing? How do you make your relationships better? How do you make what you're doing for your own life better? Right? So, it's like a
Yes.
doorway into way more, at least, like for me at this point, it's much more about helping people to live their best lives here through the
Yes.
understanding of that. Yeah.
Through the understanding of that,
Yeah.
because it's not, people go, oh, I don't believe in spirituality, I don't align myself to a religion. And for me, it took me a long time before I was developed, because I've been able to do this since I opened my eyes.
Yeah.
um, but I didn't develop until I was in my late 20s, early 30s. So I've got about 20 years of professional practice.
Hmm.
And I used to say, but it just is, and try to explain to people, whether you believe it or not, it
Right.
just is.
Yeah.
I get quite distraught
Hmm.
at the entertainment side of it. Like, I don't want to be all sackcloth and ashes and,
Right.
oh, it's got to be well protected and this, that, and the other.
Hmm.
But the expectation on the entertainment side of it, because of social media
Yeah.
and the Hollywood esque side of mediumship, or how they have Hollywoodized it,
Hmm.
that's what sort of turns my tummy a little bit.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I don't think it's necessary. That's the thing. Mediumship
Yeah.
itself is extraordinary. The fact that we can show that consciousness lives on beyond the physical world, even though we've been
Yes.
taught materialism is the only real truth, it's just not the truth. There's so much more, right? And to be able to show that, how is that not the extraordinary thing? Why do we need to
That's
like
the thing.
do other
Yeah.
things? I'm like, we don't, you know?
It, yeah. It is just, it should be enough. But
Well, what you'll find though, it's the people that aren't developed that don't actually have the ability to bring through
yes.
accurate, specific information consistently who rely on that because that's all they actually have to show. So that's what you'll typically
Yes.
find.
Yeah. Yeah. And um, social media has given many people that platform to present themselves as
Yes.
mediums. And many of them, as you say, have that ability. We all have the ability to be mediums. We all have the ability to connect to our guides.
Hmm.
But development is what makes it. Uh, I think development should be done before we are helping others. We need to help
Yeah,
ourselves before we can help others. In
definitely.
your view, what ethical responsibilities come with
Yeah.
publicly offering mediumship,
Ooh,
especially when,
that's a lot.
yeah, no, especially when the audience
Yeah.
can be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, I think of it in different tiers because I am, so like, let's say I'm doing a reading for a one-on-one, right? Obviously, I'm impacting that person and then I'm
yes,
impacting the people that they're connected to. Let's
yes,
say I do it on a public forum and then I am interacting with that one person, but then all hundreds of people potentially are watching it, right? Or even posting about it. It's impacting all of those people and their belief system around this work. And then it impacts the mediums themselves on another level of how people view mediumship and what's real mediumship, what's not, what, you know what I mean? There's been a lot of unfortunate fraud throughout mediumship since it started, right? So
Well,
that's definitely
yes,
a
in its
thing.
oldest time.
Yeah. So it's so many levels of responsibility that you really have to understand. And I just don't think a lot of people grasp that. And I think they don't understand that when someone goes to see a medium, especially when they're in such a state of just like, please, anything, you know what I mean? Every word you say, a lot of people hinge on those words, right?
Yeah.
So everything you say matters. And you have to have the understanding of that and how you say things. I think that if a spirit is truly bringing something through, that anything they say, as long as you understand how to say it properly, can be said if it's truly coming from spirit and not being molded through the ego of the medium or their belief system or their trauma or something they're projecting, right?
Yeah.
Religion, right? That happens a
Yeah.
lot.
It happens a
It
lot.
can be said. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's where the training and development and the personal development comes in too, because you also have to be able to recognize the impact you're having on people, to be able to take a no and not be arrogant and be pushy and be a jerk, right? And like learn how to understand how all of this works together. Like there's just so much to it that people don't really gather it, you
Well, there's
know?
so much to it, and I think that the impact of we're always there to leave people better than we find them, and
Yeah. Or
that's
hope.
really
Yeah.
we hope. Yeah, we hope
Yeah.
we do. Um, and anyone can sit there and say on a live and say, "I've got your grandma here; she loves you," and
Yeah.
that's the message. But the evidence is the proof of connection, and the
Right.
evidence is what brings the healing. And I've watched so many people give such generalized information
Hmm.
that they've obviously got an ability. They've obviously got a connection with people. And you just go, just sit and do a course, start some mentorship, get to know who you are. But
Yeah.
my biggest bugbear is when the unhealed healers, I call them, the unhealed
Hmm.
will talk through their own filter, whether that is religion, whether that is hurt, whether it is anguish they're going
Yeah.
through, whether it is anger. We must never, it must just come from spirit. It must never come from us. I never remember any of
Yeah.
my readings because it's,
It passes through you. It's
it
not from
passes
you.
through me.
Yes.
Um, how how many have you watched on social media that you've just like give it a percentage?
I'm
Give it
like,
a percentage.
well, a lot, like a lot. I mean, I've been on TikTok since 2020, right? I was
Yeah.
one of the first people really talking about mediumship development on TikTok and urging the ethics and talking about all of that. And it has exploded since then, with mediums coming on there. And I would say probably like 80% of the people that claim to be psychic mediums on there really have a lot of work they need to be doing, have no place in the public working with vulnerable, grieving people anytime soon.
Yes.
And I don't mean that in a derogatory way to like say they are shit and shouldn't be doing this. I mean it in like there's so
You're
much
so much
more there for
nicer
them.
than me.
Well,
You are
I
so
it's
much
because I
nicer than
teach. It's
me.
because I teach and it's because I understand that they're coming from a place of truly wanting to help. Most of these people are. Most of these people really are truly wanting to help, but they don't actually know how to. And they don't understand how much more is there that can be there in their development because of certain things that they've seen, right? And so they just or they're like afraid to fail, right? And so they go and they offer what they can offer right now, thinking that's enough, and it's not. It
Yeah.
doesn't really show anything.
Yeah, but aside from those that are trained, okay, or those that need training and
Yeah,
those that need development on delivery, on removing oneself from the
their
message,
filter.
all of those
Hmm.
things, that filter. Um, there are people that do things on social media that are highly
Yes,
unethical.
correct.
So we
Yeah,
have the ones that yes want to help people and
yeah,
truly believe in what they're doing, and you know what the real honesty is that they are helping people. It's just that people have a low bar of expectation.
yes, they do. It's like, here's the thing. We know as mediums that the spirit world is there. Right? We know that's real, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't take a lot for us necessarily to believe and know that's true, unless someone was like bringing through our own loved one, and we'd want to hear certain things to know that it's really that,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I still think even the ones that really piss me off, that are so unethical, I still think that they believe that they're doing something good, that they believe that
Oh,
they're
yeah,
truly
they do.
connecting,
Yeah,
you know? Like the peeking in lady, I'm gonna just call it out. Like the lady that says she's peeking in on all these celebrities that have died, all
yeah,
whatever's newsworthy at the time, missing people, and bringing forward no evidence, has no connection to these people whatsoever, no care at all if they're family, their friends, if they're loved ones, if they're friends. Um, but they don't think about the impact they have, right? Like they think about, I don't know what they're thinking about. Like some of them go, well, my followers told me to. My followers told me to tap into
yeah.
so and so, and I'm like, and does
I
that?
get asked that all the time. Can you look into this person that's died
Yeah,
and that person that's died and how they died? Tell us what they say about how they died when there's a bit of a mystery.
these are real people's lives. These are real people.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrities are real people. People in the news are real people. They have real family, real loved ones. And that is salacious, like ridiculous. Like, I don't know what people think that I guess it's from like things like TMZ and like the news and thinking that for some reason they're owed something because
I
they watch
found that
celebrities. I'm just
when
like,
I
what
yeah,
is this?
when I first went on social media, I found the asking salacious questions really frustrating, and it was
Hmm.
almost like, do you know how important mediumship is? I was a little bit stick up my butt sort of feeling, because I used to get so annoyed at
Yeah.
the important information I would talk about that I felt was important, and trying to teach people,
Yeah.
and also teach people how to manage their energy when there's difficult things going on,
Hmm.
and all of that. And people would be going, what's happening with this person and what's happening with this person?
Right.
And then I lost it because somebody kept asking me about Liam Payne
Mm.
when he passed, and he has a connection to me. His family have a connection to me, and I got really, and I just went, never going on social media again, because that affected me
Yeah.
personally. And then you try and explain to people, talking about somebody and how they passed in horrific, traumatic circumstances, a friend or relative is going to scroll past that and see it.
Right.
Think about that, and then they still want to know. So,
I I honestly think that just says a lot about the state of the world and the state of people's lack of empathy and need to like focus on themselves and the areas of their own lives where they need to grow and do their own shadow work, therapy. I'm huge into therapy and working on yourself, your own personal development, not just for
yes,
mediums, just for people in general.
for people
Because
in general.
yeah, because we'll be better people and we'll be better in relationships, we'll be better in the world. Everything has an impact. We have a small and large impact, right, depending on what we're doing, but it's always happening. And so people just need to learn to take responsibility for themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't,
I know it's very frustrating, and as I say,
it is.
you're a lot calmer about it than me, and you've got a lot more understanding with me. Whereas I will just block people because I'm so scared that I'm going to say something to get myself into trouble. There was a woman that was driving an Uber, and she said the problem about sorry, now we got a train. The problem about being a medium and you're an Uber driver is you get somebody that comes in and you can instantly connect them with their loved ones, and you don't have a choice and you just have to deliver the message. And I'm like, no, you don't.
No, you
No,
don't.
you don't. How many surprise readings have you done in your life?
Um, There none. So
Right.
like have I been aware of spirits sometimes because maybe I'm like relaxed or maybe I had a drink and I was like, "Oh damn,
Yeah.
someone's here." Doesn't
I
mean
am
I
an
do anything with
amazing
it.
medium when I'm drunk. I
Yeah.
am a phenomenal medium when I'm drunk.
Well, like here's the thing that people need to understand is while in certain circles people teach you, right, that if you become aware of a spirit or some kind of message you have to give it or like they're going to be mad at you or something bad's going to happen. That's just not actually
Yeah.
true. And so you actually are in control of your own energy all the time. And the problem is people don't actually know what makes a connection to spirit and what closes it off. And so they're
Yes.
going in and out of that all the time and they just don't actually understand their own energy.
I did leave that comment on somebody's page, I think about 3 or 4 days ago. There was a psychic. I won't mention anyone's names. I will just bitch about
Oh,
him,
I
but I'm not
might.
going to mention anyone's names. You can. But I got this woman, and she was like, as a psychic medium, I never go to any of these places because all the
Oh, I saw
spirits will
that.
find me.
I saw that.
And I did put a comment and go, well, I've been doing this for 20 years and I don't have that problem because I
Uh-huh.
know to close myself down and I know when to open myself up because
Mhm.
I have worked with a mentor who taught me how to do those things.
Right.
I don't want to walk around connected to spirit. It's icky, you know,
Yeah.
and I don't want to be picking up other people's energy. It's icky.
Right. Yeah,
And
you never have to. And I honestly think people like to think of themselves as special. Like, and I think that's partly why people make videos like that.
yes,
Like,
yeah,
I'm so sensitive. I'm so special. I can't go to these places because I'm just too sensitive.
yeah. And I'm like, no, you're
Sorry.
not, love. You just done it. You're just not doing your job
I am
properly.
such a jerk right
I'm
now.
just. You
No,
did
but
such a
really,
good.
that's a thing. Yeah.
You did it so well there as well. But the surprise. Let's talk about surprise readings
Yeah.
because they're lovely entertainment and they are lovely like to watch. People like to watch them.
Yeah. They
But
do.
we don't know. First of all, I'm never connected to spirit if I'm out and about, unless I've had a couple of drinks. Um, but I'm never.
Yeah.
I purposely don't have that. I do this as a job. If you're a
Right.
plumber, do you go to someone's house and try and fix their toilet?
God, I wish someone would do that sometimes. I know. Just joking.
Yeah, I know. How's the barter system going for mediumship? Listen, if anyone wants to connect with their mum, I have a toilet that needs fixing.
So funny. Yeah.
I've got a whole house that
No.
needs renovating.
God, no accountant comes to your house and goes, "Let me see your taxes." Right? Like no doctor comes up to you and says, like, "Let me prescribe you something," because it's
Yeah,
unethical.
yeah,
It
it
doesn't
is
happen.
unethical. And
Yeah.
we do not know what level of grief, how long
Right.
somebody has passed, what they're thinking, what their mental state is like. So no,
Yeah.
I do not go up to somebody in my local supermarket and say, listen, I've got your great aunt Ida here. She says that you need to buy the surf washing powder and not the blue one.
Yeah.
Just it's just not it's not ethical. I know people, you know, and everyone goes,
Yeah.
oh, but if you ever bump into me, please tell
I
me I'll
know.
be a reading.
I know. They do, and they want that. And I think if you really want that, why don't you just book a reading? Like, why don't you
Yes. Hmm.
pick your own medium that you feel drawn to, that you've actually looked into to make sure they're legitimate, right? And that you can trust them, and book the reading. Like, why are you just waiting around for some random thing to happen like that? I don't
Yeah,
quite understand that.
because you are empowered to be able to book a
Yeah,
reading with a medium of your choice.
right. And it
Let's just
should be
talk about
someone's choice. It
yeah,
should be
let's
their
just
choice.
talk about that for a
Yeah.
second. There's thousands of mediums on social media. There's
Yeah.
thousands. And I always say I am a medium that happens to be on social media. I have had a practice for 20 years. I went to social media to call out the grief vampires
Yeah.
that were circling around when Nicola Bulley in the UK disappeared and the bullshit that they
Yeah.
were feeding people, which her children were going to then listen to afterwards. Um, and that's why I went to social media. I think you were similar.
Yeah,
Um,
I had well, soon after I started, Gabby Petito went missing.
oh,
And then
okay.
all of the people that pretended to be mediums and psychics came out of the woodwork. And I was like, no, 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 no. Like, we can't be doing
Yeah.
this. So, yeah, it was a whole thing.
I think it's disgraceful behavior,
Yeah,
and especially when they don't think about what they are saying.
right.
So they were talking about Nicola suffering, her still
Yeah,
being held captive. And and I never made this public. I talked about it with a friend. I said, I think she had a medical episode. And that is exactly what happened to her. She
hmm,
had a medical episode and sadly ended up in the water. So I did that, but I can't remember what we were talking about for a second. I was talking about like the missing people and the
yeah.
reason
And why
we
you
are
came
drawn to
onto
social
social
media.
media and
Um,
all the
but
mediums on social media.
yeah, and there are thousands of mediums out there, okay, and you can choose the one you are drawn to,
Yes.
okay. But all we do, we're not sitting there on social media bagging other mediums by name. We are making people aware of unethical practices or
Yeah.
thought patterns, or aligning yourself with what you say you are, because that's a big one for me.
Yeah.
Like, if you are not living what you teach in a way of practicing kindness or thinking about humanitarian things, or and all of that, that's a big one to me.
Hmm.
um, you can choose who you want to go with. We are just there to help you use your discernment and what you should be expecting in a mediumship reading.
Hmm.
There are, at no point do I want to know anything about somebody before a reading.
No,
There
me neither.
are mediums out there that ask for photographs
Yes.
and
And
tell you own
names
and
and
sorry,
relationship to
and names,
them.
yes, and dates.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, that is showing an underdeveloped medium and someone that may be using their intuition or
And
research,
potentially fraud. Like,
and
let's just
potentially
call it
fraud.
what it
Yeah,
is. Like,
let's
potentially
call it what
fraud.
it is. Yes.
Yeah.
And I've got a story about a medium that did a reading for me that I can tell you researched me beforehand.
Oh, I do
Um,
too.
I do not want to know anything, because
Yeah.
I'm already on the back foot of proving the continuation of consciousness
Right.
just naturally, because people should be skeptical.
Yeah, it should. Yep.
But don't hand over information.
No, you don't need to. If there's a legitimate medium in front of you, you don't need to give them anything. You just need to be able to validate what they're saying, right? You
Yes.
don't need to feed them anything. And especially not ahead of time. Like, the person who asks for photos and certain people's names
Yes.
will book months and months and months in advance, okay?
Yes.
And have that information. What do you think could be happening between now and then, guys? Like, let's just put two and two
Absolutely.
together here. Like,
Absolutely.
that's just ridiculous. I
It,
would never trust what came through. Like, that puts doubt on the work. We don't want doubt on the work. That's why we don't ask for anything.
well, that's the, I want to prove what
Yeah,
somebody gives me from spirit. I want
right,
to give you information that no one else has given you, or no one else could know,
right.
or little stories. It's not just
A
about
variety of different
a
kinds of
variety of
information.
things
Yeah,
should make up. My
right.
last episode that I did was about the validation and trust in mediumship. And as mediums, we have to trust what we're being given.
Yes.
And that's an important thing. But any medium that asks for information prior, doesn't matter how many followers they have on social media, it doesn't matter how much they charge for a reading, they ain't real.
I don't know how this person gets away with it. I'm like, how does this happen? I'm like, how does someone get that many followers and charges that much for a reading and asks for all of that? And everyone's like, yeah, okay, sure, go ahead. I'm like, what is happening here? I don't
Because
understand
people are
it.
vulnerable.
It's
People,
But there's so many good
people,
mediums out there. There are
but
so
this,
many good ethical mediums out there that will do a
and
way better job and never ask you anything
and the
and
number
charge
of
less.
followers someone has does not. I actually haven't looked how much she charges. Actually, I haven't actually looked. Is it a lot? Okay, I shall take a look. I shall take a look. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a bummer. It was a
I
bummer.
I went to so you know how here in the US we have spiritualist churches, and
Yes.
there'll be certain mediums that will do group things, and there's billet readings, and
I don't know
there's
what
this.
bullet readings
Okay,
are.
so a billet reading is basically where information, so like someone puts a card on their forehead and they have their like a blindfold on, and they're getting information like from this card from a billet, right? It's an old
Okay.
style of reading. But I went to this. I knew I shouldn't have. I knew I shouldn't trust it. But I kept hearing about this guy who's supposedly a physical medium, and he takes these cards and he does a billet reading, and then he puts it in a basket, and then spirit supposedly does like a painting or like shows like your guide on it, and then like writes like names of different guides on it and all this stuff during these readings, right? Well,
Right.
they ask ahead of time your first and last name, the people you want to connect with, right? So what did I do? I fibbed a little bit on purpose because I wanted to see what would happen. And guess what? The
Okay.
names that I put on there that I fibbed were the
Mhm.
names that came through. And then they did a little research into
Wow.
me at the time I was doing mediumship, but I was also still a commercial child photographer. So I worked and did a lot of like clothing brands and stuff with kids most of the time. And so they put like the name of like some child photographer that had passed that was famous on it. They put Jesus. They put like all these different names. And one of the names that I had put, I put purposefully the maiden name of somebody and not the married name. And they used that name. And I was like,
Wow.
yeah. So I was like, okay, I just wanted to see what would happen, knowing that
Mhm.
most likely it would be fraud.
Yeah.
Um, it's still disappointing, when it happens.
It is so disappointing. It is so sad. Do you think that there is a difference between evidential mediumship and sort of spirit-led mediumship?
No, it should be the same. Spirit-led mediumship
It
should still
should
be
be the same.
evidential. Yeah.
Yeah,
It shouldn't
it
make any difference.
but
Yeah.
have you seen spirit-led people calling spirit-led mediumship
I
on
wouldn't call that
social media?
mediumship. I just wouldn't call
Yeah.
it mediumship. If they're not showing evidence, it's not mediumship. So like I know John Edward will call me out for calling myself an evidential medium because he hates that
Does
because
he?
to him, yeah, oh yeah, he hates it. Yeah, because to him, all mediumship should be obviously evidential. Why do you have to say it's evidential? It should be I'm like, I
But
totally get that, but
uh-huh.
unfortunately, there's been so many people calling themselves mediums that aren't practicing evidential information. Like one time I heard a lady say, yes, I have your grandmother here and she has purple angel wings. And I'm like, that's not evidential information. You
Oh
can't
my
validate that,
God. And some
right?
some some poor sod will
Yeah.
go, yes, my grandmother loved purple.
Uh-huh.
Because that's the
I'm like,
level
if
that
you can
people expect.
expand, right? Like let's say you brought something like that up and you can't validate the angel wings, right? Let's say purple brought up and they say, yes, they love purple. Great. Get more information and
Yes.
back that up with more. You know what I mean? Don't just leave it
Mm-hmm.
at that, right? Give more detail.
Yeah. What you've talked about the woman, the take a peek.
Yeah,
Let's take
yeah,
a
yeah.
peek.
Mhm.
Any others that, well, apart from the
The
other
other
one?
the other person we also mentioned, and I have called her out by name because she has done some horrid shit, and I
I
have
have
used
seen.
the actual examples of her videos to just literally show it for what it is, and like the
Yeah.
unethical things that have been said that just horrify me. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think sometimes you have to call shit out. Like, do I
I
go
do.
around trying to point out this person, that person? No. I try to teach as like a general thing, right? But there's
Yeah.
certain people that sometimes you just have to be like, yeah, that's not okay, especially when they have such a huge following and they make such a big impact because of that.
I blocked her many, many years
Yeah.
ago, and I watched her do a radio interview. I think she said that someone's sister was never going to go to the afterlife because they hadn't caught the person that murdered her.
I'm like, my blood boils. I heard her tell someone who just found out they had cancer again that it wasn't going to work out this time, that she was going to die. I also heard her tell somebody that her sister, who's in spirit, was in a bad place and she needed her to light a candle for her to have a better, like, be in a better place, basically, because she's in a lower vibration. Like, like, and like, I also saw her tell, okay, I know I'm talking shit, so much shit, but like, this is just true. You can literally go look.
No,
Like, I'm saying
I
the
dig
truth,
it. Yeah.
okay? But like, I also heard her tell two daughters of a mother who unfortunately took herself, to spirit, go into such gory details and say of things that she said she felt and was thinking and things like awful things you would never want to hear your mom say coming through a medium.
And can I also say that those things are never going to be
They
given
don't.
either?
No, they're
They are
not.
never going to be
Because
given.
spirit
So,
brings through healing. They bring through
yes.
love, support, healing, and truth. Not truth in a way of like F you from like the sense of an ego, right? It's not the
Yeah.
same. It's from a higher perspective of understanding.
Yeah, no, I had to block her because I would get myself into trouble. And she has
Yes.
such a massive following
Yes.
that people think that she is able to walk on water. Um, and it does, yeah, it concerns me.
She's probably the one that bothers me the most.
Yeah,
Like just because of the terrible things that she has what I've seen her do with that kind of
yeah.
stuff and how harmful that is. And then there's like maybe one other famous medium that I also really dislike. only because he really puts a lot of fear-based religious information into how he sees things and
Oh,
says really
okay.
negative things about a lot of things to do with spirit. And I'm not a fan of that. So for the most part, look, I'm super supportive of other mediums. If they're out there doing the work for the right reasons, I'm like, yes, do it. Like, I think we should all be doing that, right? Like, there's so many
Yeah.
of us because there's so many dead people, right? We
Right.
need a lot of that, so we can
Yeah.
bring that through. I just don't like seeing mediums take this work and hurt people with it. That really, really upsets me.
I think the religious programming that many people need to let go of when it
Yeah.
comes to the afterlife and spirit is one of the biggest things that, yes, as a believer, religion, I support religion because faith is faith. That's,
Mhm.
but as a medium, let go of your religious bias as you
Yeah.
are delivering
It doesn't
messages
have a
because it's got no
place in
place.
bringing through
Yeah.
information,
Yeah.
right? As a medium, the whole point is to be unbiased so that you are,
Hmm.
let's call yourself a clean paintbrush, right? If you're coming in with all your other colors, that's going to look muddy and shitty and awful, right? You're going to turn into some puce color. No one wants that, right? We
Yeah.
want to have a nice clean paintbrush for spirit so that it's actually them bringing through the information, not you making something out of that, right? Because that's then you and them. It's not just them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have to be able to decipher the messages as as our training gets better. um, we are deciphering what we're being given, delivering it in a way, taking people along that journey about, look, I'm being shown this, you know,
Mhm. Well, we
we don't
describe
know.
it, right?
We
Like,
describe
yeah,
it.
we we just give, at least this is how I do it and how I teach
Hmm.
basically is whatever comes, we just say it as it is. Like, so if a name comes, we get more information, try to get, to see where the placement is of that kind of thing. If
Yes.
they're giving us something, let's say I'm seeing an image, I'm going to feel context, right? I want to see, what do I feel about that image I want to say, right? So it's more like that than, I know some mediums work very symbolically. I know that that can work in certain ways for certain people. I think that it can be very limiting though, because I think
It
that,
can be very
yeah,
limited. I get a lot of information through my own point of reference.
hmm,
And
yeah,
then I
and that
have
can
to
happen.
deliver that.
Yeah,
How am I feeling? What words am I being given at the same
right.
time? We are basically translating stuff as we are being
Yes,
given it. And I think it's really important to actually give the person sitting the opportunity to hear what I'm being given so that
yes,
they can see where it fits in with what the person in spirit is giving me.
right.
We're not perfect. And
No, we're people. It still has to come
yeah,
through us, right?
it still
But
has to come
yeah.
through us. And we are going to get things wrong from time to time, but we have to give what we are being given.
Hmm.
I've
Hmm.
made mistakes where I haven't given stuff because I've been worried about.
Right.
I remember seeing a prison, thinking that someone's going to prison, and I kept saying, "Somebody's going away. Are they going on holiday? Is your partner going on holiday? Because I see him going away for a long time." Phone call the next week to say that he was in prison,
Yeah.
but I just didn't feel comfortable
Right.
delivering that. But we learn as we go, and that's what development is all about, and that's what practice is all about.
Hmm.
What would you say to an up and coming medium that may be dipping their toes into learning, developing, exploring? What do you think one of the first things that they should know about ethics should be?
About ethics. Hmm. Well, I think about ethics is that we here, at least in the United States, we have to uphold those ourselves. So we don't have a governing board.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
we typically teach something similar to, what a therapist would learn when it comes to ethics, right?
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
consent and having that understanding or that framework around what we do. And knowing that there's a responsibility with what we say, what we do, and the impact on that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's really having that understanding. And then on top of that, learning that we do have to then learn how to move outside of our own filters, right? And our
Yes.
own ego when we are giving information so that we are getting clear information that we can trust from spirit, right? So
Yeah.
it's this sort of, it's a kind of a double-edged sword, really, because at first you're like, can I trust this? And you have to build your trust and you have to build, let's say, your language with spirit and your receptivity to
All of
spirit.
that
All,
is
yeah.
something that needs to be practiced
Yes.
time and time again.
Well,
There
that's why
is
it
no
Well, I was gonna say that's why it needs to be done in a space that is safe to be doing it in, not go right on a public platform like TikTok
yes,
Live and be practicing there. That's not where we practice. We practice
$10 a
in a safe
message.
container. Yeah. Where like you have teachers to guide you, you have other mediums that understand if you
Yes.
do mess up and say something kind of
Hmm.
crazy, you know what I mean? That you're not doing it to hurt them, you're doing it because you're misunderstanding something.
I won't teach mediumship because I've been able to do this for so long, and I learned through mentorship. I have several mentors that I've worked with that helped me explore that. I practiced, kept
Yeah.
journals, what I was receiving, how I was receiving it, how I was feeling, because it just can come as a whoosh.
Yeah.
Do you think that, I mean, like, as you say, we have no governing bodies
Yeah.
in uh, regarding mediumship. Do you think the self-regulation within the community is enough? That's where we
If
come in.
you
We keep
develop
pointing you as.
properly, if you develop properly, I do think so. Because
Mm,
at least for me and the mediums that I respect and follow, I do see them doing that, right? Like I do, they have an understanding of their impact, right? If you
yeah,
can really have that understanding, you will act accordingly. You know what I mean? So the people that are doing this for the wrong reasons, that are out there to be famous or out there to just rub their own ego or to be special or whatever those other reasons are, that's the reason we have a lot of issues with not having that understanding.
yes. How many do you see that are doing this for egoic reasons to be famous?
A lot. This is what I always say: if you are going to be recognized in some way and become, let's say, more famous on a more public platform or on TV at some point, let it be through the consistent information that you're able to bring through, not
Yeah,
for any other reason, right? Let it be about the work. Let it be about what Spirit's able to do through you, not
yeah,
because you want to be famous, not because of any other reason. Do it for the right reasons. Let that be, if that's the course that you, and many people that will never be the course, right? It will be, you work with people one-on-one, you may have small groups, or you may do TikTok lives, or you do gallery readings, or you do platforms somewhere, right? And that may be
yeah,
your track, and it's to make connections to help people, to support them, to show them the truth, right? To show them they're not alone. And that may be what you do. If something bigger comes and Spirit wants to use you like that, then that's one thing, right? It shouldn't be you trying to like make that happen. At least not in my opinion.
the thought of being famous makes my stomach
Oh
turn.
yeah.
I've been recognized a couple of times, mainly for my voice. It's strange. It's like, oh, I recognize that voice. I've got a weird accent, probably. But the thought of being famous does not.
No, that's a lot of, like, think about the pressure we're already under, right? Like, think about in development the
Oh,
pressure you have, right? And
mm-hmm.
then when you go
Yeah,
out publicly, the pressure that adds. Think
mm-hmm.
about that on a bigger level, right? I
Yeah,
I know, like, I know a lot of famous mediums, right? And I know that they get so much shit from people, right? Like just
absolutely.
consistently, and
Mm-hmm.
that can't be great. That's got to be a lot to deal with. That's got to be really, really hard. Like I know that you and I get our own shit from people all the time, right? And having to deal with
Yeah,
that.
I was actually
So,
talking to John Edward a couple of weeks
mhm,
ago about the shit that I was getting. And you got it from the same person who,
mhm.
yeah. And he just said, let me get my tiniest violin.
I yeah,
Because
because his is on such
he's
a
had
bigger
it.
scale.
His
Yeah,
is on such a
yeah,
massive, massive scale. And
yeah,
has, he literally walked so we could run.
yeah. He is absolutely somebody that I highly respect for the work that he's done and the path that he has paved for us, but also the teaching he does and that he's still out
Yeah.
there doing it. And like, they put him on South Park as the biggest douche in the world, and like
I
that's
just,
gotta be not,
it's got to
he
hurt.
takes it in stride though. Like he honestly does. He
Yeah.
thinks it's so funny. Like he's like, well, I must be doing something good to
Yeah.
have someone put me on something like that, right?
If you make somebody
So
think, that's
yeah,
that's when you know you're doing a good job. If somebody
right.
wants to take me to task and pull me apart for something that I said, And it wasn't even my ability that they wanted to come after me for. They came after me because I pointed out what was humanitarian and what wasn't
Mhm.
humanitarian. And as someone that works with spirit, we should be looking at the humanitarian aspect of things.
Yes,
And
I
that
agree
seemed to
with
go
that.
straight over their head.
Well, again, I will point to their own personal work that is
Yes.
every time someone does something, they're just literally they're showing the backside. You know what I mean? Like every time somebody acts a fool like that, they're
They're
just
showing.
showing and pointing to where their own issues are. So
Yeah.
that's something we can learn in any dynamic, right? Like whether that's in the mediumship community or out in the world, right?
And that,
People are just projecting their own crap.
yeah. And we are still humans
Yeah.
doing this work, and we are still learning doing this work. I learn every single day. By every reading that I do, I learn something new, not just about what I can do as a medium, but what I can be as a human.
Yeah.
Because spirit has a way of teaching us that.
Hmm.
Um, but before we wrap up, I want to talk
Yeah.
about, we'll talk about what you're doing at the moment, but just biggest red flags. Name, if you can give me a
Well, we
list of
talked
red
about one of
flags.
them. We talked about
We
one of them.
did. We
Yeah,
did.
which is giving information to a medium ahead of time. Now,
Yes.
listen, like on so if you book a reading with me through my website, yes,
Mm-hmm.
is there an area where you can put a name? Sure. You can literally leave it blank. You can make up a name. Someone else can book it for you. I don't care. Is there going to be a phone number or an email so I can contact you to send your Zoom link? And if for some reason I need to call you to reschedule or something like that, yes, that's it. I don't want to know anything else.
Yeah.
So like
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing is like you have to understand you don't need to be giving that. So it's a huge red flag, right? So anyone that's asking
No
for a
photo.
picture, yeah, or a name, like a first and last name, a date of when they died, anything like that, do not do that. They do not need that. That's like such a huge thing. Um, Other red flags is when they are speaking from a fear-based place. So when they are taking information, constantly creating fear and anxiety and teaching from that place, to me, that's a huge red flag. Or involving their own religious biases and talking about that and intermixing it with mediumship, right? It's its own
Yeah.
thing. Mediumship is not a belief system. It is not a belief system. It
It
is
is.
information that comes through that is factual, that is validated. That's
Yeah.
all it is,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's those are two different things. I would also say people that make mediumship all about themselves, right? So the mediums that are out there crying and making it all about their own grief when they're doing a reading for you, and it's like, hello, that's so inappropriate. You're there to be the messenger
It
of information and not to be like getting involved in your own emotions.
I'm gonna say twice in my whole career, I've had to take a breath. I've had to take a beat,
That's
both
different.
involving children.
That's different. A breath
But
and a moment are different, right? Having
yes,
your eyes get teary for a moment and moving on is a different thing from literally just sitting there and crying and like start talking about your own stories. Like I've seen that. I've seen also people blaming. Okay, so I've seen so many things in my time
come
online.
on.
I've I've seen people acting like they're seeing the spirit standing there, arguing back and forth with them when the person's saying no, and they can't take a no, and then they blame it on the person. Right? It's one thing if a person's like not remembering, and you get more information, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I remember," or you say, take that with you, write it down, we'll check on it
Mhm.
later. Not a problem, right? Keep moving. But I have seen people literally bully their sitters, people that are sitting
Yes.
there crying because they're in grief, right? And then the medium is just like being so nasty, saying such terrible things. Or I've seen mediums, like I also mentioned earlier, saying awful things about what the spirit is supposedly saying to them, or bringing
Oh,
through, saying that they're stuck in a bad place or they can't move on, or, just nasty things that are just so not true about spirit, right? Like those are set to me huge red flags.
yes.
Trying to think of other. I mean, there's so many. There's so many.
There are so many. It's
Yeah.
when they look shocked that they received something. I can't believe I got that.
Yes.
That again makes it about
Right. About
the
themselves.
medium. Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes it about themselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think because I get permission from my large groups, can we use the snippet from
Yeah.
this
That's
on the
different.
And I'm
Yeah.
sure that people go, gosh, Matilda looks so unemotional. How can she not be crying when this information is coming through? And I'm like, I can't. I
Can't be.
have to. I
Yeah.
think I'm listening to the next bit of
Right.
information.
Yeah.
as they are receiving the first. It's like a constant flow.
Yes.
Um, I don't like people that do like on $10 a question.
Oh yeah. No, no, no. Or just yes,
Oh,
no questions.
yeah,
No, no.
yes, no. There is no
Yeah.
yes, no. There
No.
just isn't. And if
Give
they can't prove a
information.
connection,
Yeah.
yeah,
No.
if they can't prove a connection, um, giving and evidence is there for a reason. Anyone that
Yes.
just does the yes, I've got your grandmother here. What was her name? Oh yes, and what did she do? And
Oh
is
yeah.
your
Asking a bunch
grandfather
of
there
questions of the
too?
sitter.
Yeah,
Let
all
them
of the
fill it in.
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like,
We
no.
have to sometimes ask our validation or our
Yeah.
information is going to come through like we're
Does that
asking the
make
question,
sense?
but we're not.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Can
Right.
you take that?
Yeah.
Because the evidence, believe it or not, that during a reading, the validation is important because it helps us dive deeper. If you're
Right.
getting information and then we can dive a bit deeper and it's a bouncing effect, or
It
I
is.
find it a
It's
bit of a
energy.
bouncing
No,
effect.
you're
Yeah,
right. You're
it's
100%
energy,
right.
and
Yeah.
the more information that the sitter can take, the more information that
Right.
we're able to give.
Because spirit's
um
going, you're getting it right. You're getting it right. And they get closer, they get stronger, and more comes
yeah.
through. Right. So you
Hmm.
follow that flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. um I'm trying to think of other red flags that
Oh, I
I've
can
seen.
tell you more. I can. So
Yeah.
I've seen mediums say that they need to know ahead of time how your loved one died because they want to decide how much they're going to
No.
charge for that, or if they're willing to bring that person through because they don't want to feel how terrible the death was. And I'm like, are you kidding
No.
me? Are you kidding me? Like, that's just so narcissistic and terrible. I'm like, you don't understand how any of this works, do you?
Oh my God. I
Like,
watched one person who specializes in missing people, okay?
uh,
Claims to find missing people. And she took money off of the family to help find this missing person. And she felt that I think found the person without her being involved. It was a bloke that had gone missing. And sadly, he had passed away.
mm,
And she was asking for more money and she was asking for them to make a
oh
statement
yeah,
that she was the one that found them and blah, blah, blah. So she then said, I've got your brother here. He says that you're an awful person and that you're a drug addict. And he's saying this and he's saying
oh,
that. And
I want to cry just hearing that. That just
she had no connection with these people. She had no connection with spirit. Let me tell you that,
so sad.
because it is just so sad. And I just think of all the people that have just been conned
Yeah.
over the years by the old snake oil, and it's as old as time, old as
Yeah.
time.
Or they'll
I
tell
just
you you have an attachment and the only way to get rid of it is to pay more money. So they may have an ability, right? They may bring through information you understand, or it could be super
yes.
general and they're like, yes, I
Hmm.
understand that. They're like, oh, you have an attachment from some negative spirit. You're going to have to give me $500 so I could do a special ritual to take that off, right? Huge scam, complete scam. Like, just
Yes,
no,
don't give
no,
and your loved one and anyone that tells you that your loved one is stuck and
mad
that
at
you have to
you.
pay money to get them
No,
to
no,
move on to
no.
the
Yeah.
afterlife, or they're separated from other loved ones that are in
No, no, no.
spirit, or anyone
Or
that
they're mad at
is.
you, or they're saying nasty
Mhm.
things about you, or
Yeah.
they don't like what you did with their
Hmm.
remains. They don't care. That's to
They
do with the
do not
living.
care. I tried to have this conversation with somebody. I did a reading, it was last year, and then anyone that tries to develop dependency. So if
Oh
you've got a
yeah.
medium that's saying you've got to keep coming back, you've got to keep coming
Uh-huh.
back, give it some time.
Yeah.
Please give it some time when your loved one has passed, because sometimes you're not in a place of receiving, and you're going to waste your money,
Yeah.
and
It's not good.
it's just not good for
Yeah.
you.
I make
And I
people
remember,
wait a minimum of 6 months in between for
me
mediumship
too. Yeah.
readings because I
Hmm.
don't want them to become dependent on me. I want them to deal with their own grieving. I want them to live life. I want them to understand that their loved one is still with them, right? Like
And be
helping
ready
them with
to,
that process.
when they are in such a, I've only done a few like this when there's such a tied up emotional state, and I've tried to say, listen, can we do you want to do this in a couple of weeks? Do you want to,
Right.
I can give you a refund, because it doesn't matter what you're saying to them. They're just not receiving it. They're just,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're attached to what they want to hear
Right.
because
Exactly.
of what they've
Yeah.
seen on social
Right.
media and what they've seen in the movies.
Yeah.
They have this attachment of what they want to hear.
Yes.
But saying that, there are some exceptionally good mediums out there that
Hmm.
do love doing what they do and do genuinely want to help people get
A
through.
lot of them, luckily,
Hmm.
maybe more than people realize, and unfortunately, it sort of gets, I don't know, not looked at as much as the ones that aren't doing that, because
Yeah,
they get,
that's.
yeah,
Hmm.
the sensationalism outwins, with the views and the follows, and the people that are
Does,
actually doing
doesn't
the
it?
quality work don't always get noticed. It's kind of crazy.
I know, and that sort of makes me really sad sometimes.
Yeah.
Is that, and it's there is no competition. There should be no
No.
competition because we are drawn where we are meant to go,
Yeah.
and you will be drawn to the medium that is going to suit you better.
Right.
So if somebody wants to sit there being derogatory about me or Megan or anyone else, it's not going to do them, because you're just going to be drawn to where you want to go. We just purely want to show you what you are deserving of and what a good mediumship reading should be about.
I have one more red flag because this is
Oh,
something
go on.
currently happening on TikTok.
Okay.
If you, let's say you book a reading with a medium, and for whatever reason, maybe they're going through some stuff, right? They should
Hmm.
absolutely refund you. Like there should
Yes,
never be a
a
thing
million
where they don't
percent.
show
Yes.
up. Yeah, where they don't
Hmm.
show up for their reading and they don't refund you. That shouldn't be a thing. Like if they're showing up for the reading and you're not, that's on you, right? That's one thing.
Yep,
And how
that's
they
one thing.
handle that is a different
Hmm.
situation. But unfortunately, right now, there is a medium that was becoming a bit more popular who's going through some personal things, but isn't particularly handling it well. So there's
Okay.
a lot of people that have sent her a lot of money and they're not getting their money back.
Oh
So there's been
no.
videos coming out about that situation. And
Okay.
unfortunately, she's been messaging some really crazy, unfortunate things back to the
Oh
people
no.
because of the state she's in. So I have
Hmm.
compassion for both sides,
Yes,
but
absolutely.
it's her responsibility and anyone else's to refund the person that's trusting you to show up for that
Yes.
reading. And if you totally drop the ball on that reading and it's truly no connections, not working, they should refund you too.
I have that first 5 minutes. I always
Yeah,
say that if we don't connect, and you know what, it's never the person having the reading. It's never the sitter. It could be the
yeah.
energy. It could be me. It could be,
It'd be
listen, I've
so
got a
many
sinking
things.
headache. It could be so
Yeah,
many things. And I always say, listen, we can cancel, and I can refund you, or I can reschedule you, pop you in for
right.
next week, and we can have a redo. And
Yeah,
more often than not, people that have a redo have probably
right.
some of the best readings that I've ever done. And
Yeah,
something has happened between their initial booking and the booking, that, maybe they've got something that's come up, or there's been a job loss, or,
right.
something like
Divine
that.
timing. You got to
Divine
trust divine timing,
timing.
I'm
We
telling you.
have to, we
Yeah.
have to trust in that. And I also did a reading very recently. This is another red flag, for somebody who was told that her husband, she was a very, very young lady, very, very sadly lost her husband. And she was told during a reading, because I wouldn't read for her too soon.
Mm.
She chose to book into one of my group events, um, but she went and found somebody out of desperation and said, that person said, your husband will have already gone somewhere else when you die. You're never
Oh,
going to see him
no.
again.
No, no, no.
Um, that's just not going to happen.
No. That's not even how spirit works. Like,
It's
there's
not.
just such a lack of understanding about
There
spirit.
is such a lack of understanding of everything around
Yeah.
around spirit, but your loved ones aren't mad at you.
No.
They're not coming back to haunt you. They're not going to hold you to the things that you've promised them on their deathbed.
Yeah.
I've
They
had
don't leave
people.
you. They don't
Yeah.
move on without you. There may be an aspect of them that is living another life, but they still exist. Like they are
Yeah,
still able to be
they still
communicated with and
exist.
connected to.
Hmm. And there is so much out there, but
Oh
there
my.
is
Yeah.
educate. That's what Megan
That's
and
what
I
we
both
try. That's what we
that's what we
try.
try and do, and we try and teach people.
Yeah,
But it's so funny because they never get any traction. The
I
more
know.
educational videos I do, it's like, no, I want the predictions. No, I
Yeah,
want to see you talk to somebody. Do you know? It's just
yeah.
like they're just not that interested.
TikTok likes to push out my call out videos. I'm like, really?
Oh, really? Yeah. Well,
Like, whatever.
maybe that's what you need to do. Now, are you
Yeah.
still you're still doing one-on-one readings?
Yeah. I do one-on-one readings. I do groups, just not a whole lot of them. Doing
Mm-hmm.
mentoring. I teach courses, um, and do podcasts sometimes.
Do podcasts, and yeah, with the Oak Ridge Institute.
Yes.
When's the next set of classes starting?
Yeah. So the next mediumship foundations, which is levels 1 through 3, will start in July. And then
Great.
all of our courses that follow, you have to go through foundations first. So expansions
Yes.
and advancing. And you
Mm-hmm.
can actually book a reading with one of our students in
Well,
advancing,
you can.
and
Yeah.
fellowship, which is actually after advancing. So if you want to try out one of our students and kind of see where they're at, and also get a reading, right? Like, and for a very inexpensive price, it's for people
Mm-hmm.
that don't have a lot of money. It's a really great way to have a place you trust, really, and
Yes.
book in online to do that. That's another thing that's available too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yourself having readings, tell
Yeah.
me, because I love asking this question because I find other mediums, and I haven't read with you, I haven't read with a lot of people, I
Yeah.
haven't had a reading for years. I sometimes find them very difficult because I'm like, you can do better than this. You can do better than this. Have you ever had any really dodgy experiences yourself?
Like, meaning where I feel like I could have done better, or
No, I'm
for,
talking about having a reading yourself.
oh, like, oh, for sure. Yeah.
And I'm
100%.
not
Yeah.
talking about your students or anything like
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're
No,
practicing.
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
I actually, there's an Australian medium that I went to once who was on a
Okay.
show, and she was very expensive too. And um
Mm,
it wasn't so good. It wasn't such a good reading, and I was kind of
okay.
disappointed. And there was some assumption that happened, because of the kind of relationship I had with who was coming through, and they kind of like she kind of just dropped the connection, thinking. So this is where her own filter came in, thinking I wouldn't want to hear from this person,
But
and kind of went.
sometimes that's when you need to hear
I
from that
know.
person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's why you have to really develop to follow the spirit's lead, right? To really
Yeah, right.
come through. But yeah, so I've definitely had many readings, professional readings. Some have been great, some have been not great. I've had great readings for my students. Like
Hmm.
it's definitely a different kind of junk bag. And and it's true to say mediums have bad days, right? It's true to
Oh,
say that
yeah.
that happens, but they should also be able to kind of own that too.
Well, that's the thing. I
Yeah,
will always own it and say, you know what, today's
yeah,
not the day, or I don't have a connection with you. And I would rather refund somebody than disappoint them or leave them feeling as if they haven't gotten the best of me. And
yeah,
that still comes down to being ethical.
yeah. I agree. I
Yeah.
definitely agree that we try our best, and it's funny though too, because like sometimes you'll leave a reading and you're like, that was such a good reading, like so spot on,
Hmm.
and so much detail, and then the person, because they're so attached to wanting hearing a specific
Yes.
thing, they're
Hmm.
unhappy, right?
Yeah.
Or you bring through information and you're just like, oh, I didn't feel like they were really invested, or like it seemed like it mattered much. And then
Hmm.
they send you this long, oh my God, everything you said was correct. It was so spot on. It meant so much to me. And so you have to learn not to judge your readings. You have to learn,
Yeah.
just give the information, and don't worry about it.
Well, as long as we deliver the
Yeah.
information, but I have this thing sometimes where before a reading, I'll be like, I don't want to do this reading. I feel really uncomfortable. I don't
Uh-huh.
know why. I'm like dreading this reading, and it will be one of the best readings I've ever done, and the client will be incredibly happy. And I'm like, what was I worried about? You know,
Interesting. Yeah.
sometimes that will happen, and sometimes
Yeah.
I'll be dreading. I think it's my own nervousness when
Uh-huh.
I'm going into a large group or a group, and I
Normal.
think,
Normal.
yep,
Yeah.
um, and I will be going, and the nervousness. I'm
Yeah.
trying to sit and meditate, and I'm trying to because for, good half an hour before I'm doing a big
Yeah.
event, I'm sat there
Yeah.
and everything will flow beautifully. But for about an hour before I sit and meditate, my head is spinning. I'm like, I don't want to
Yeah.
do this. How can I cancel this? How can I,
Uh-huh.
do I just refund them all? Do I just,
I,
and then it
I feel
runs
like that too.
quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well,
No,
I'm glad
for
I'm
like
not
a big
alone.
event. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
flipping a pumpkin for sure. Like I'm like having anxiety. As soon as I get out of my own way and I'm in front of people
Yes.
and I put my focus
Hmm.
on spirit, that all goes away. Right. Once I get into that
Yeah,
flow, into that
exactly.
power, it's fine. It's before that it's all like,
What if no one comes through?
scary.
What if today's the
Yeah.
one time I'm stood in front of all of these people and nobody steps forward and blah,
Mediumship is
blah, 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 blah,
terrifying.
blah. And it's
Like
never.
you literally have to jump off of a cliff and just
Mhm.
trust, right? It's such a trust fall.
And I
And so
have
you have
just
to
booked
really
my
rely on your
first.
training, you have
Yes,
to rely on
well,
and trust in
trust.
spirit. Yeah.
It's trust, and I've just booked my
Yeah.
first live event for this year. So,
Okay.
well, one that I
Yeah.
haven't done. I haven't done one for about 6 years. So,
Okay.
actual in front of real people.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
It's fun. I did a tour like a couple years ago now. I'd love to do
Oh,
that again. But yeah, I did it with a couple other mediums. And so, we, each did like 4 or 5 readings and then passed on the time or whatever. But it was great. Yeah. 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 You.
well, thank you. I will put all of Megan Alyssa's contact details in the show notes. This has been fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
I will.
Thank you so much for joining me, Megan. It was such a pleasure to get to talk to you about a topic that we are both so passionate about. If you want to find out more information about Megan, please go to the show notes. There is information there about the Oakbridge Institute, as well as Megan's contact details if you would like a reading with her. And now it's that time of the episode where we talk about Patreon. If you don't want to hear about Patreon, scroll on, but it is an amazing platform that I've been lucky enough to have a thriving Patreon page for, I think it's 2.5 years. I have 9,000 something members, but we have so much going on there. If you are interested in learning about intuition or connecting with your guides, I have a monthly circle for the connected tier, as well as workbooks and prompts that come out regularly. Manifestation is up on deck with our Magnificent Manifestors tier, where you get daily prompts for just $25 a month. You get daily prompts and you get a whole hour, maybe sometimes two, to talk about manifesting and also ask your spiritual and current affair questions. For the $15 and up members, you get a coffee morning with me. You get 3 opportunities to meet with me on a monthly basis if you are a member of Patreon. I do Zoom calls. I do Zooms with groups. The coffee morning usually has about 100 people in. That is this weekend coming up. Also, this weekend coming up for $15 and up members, you get Laurie Rivers and I. We're going to do Reunited as the Sassy Seers. We're going to have a chat with you, talk about lots that's been going on in our lives, and we have an announcement to make during that get together. So pop along to Patreon. The link is in the show notes and you can find out lots and lots of information. So our latest members are Katie Robelia, Tracy Fox, Cora Wilkie, Michelle Rebello, Courtney Bell, Elan, Jim Tins. I always get your handle wrong. I'm so sorry, Jim. And Claire Kolb. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining up. You guys sponsor this podcast. There's also a newsletter that goes out. We are always busy, busy, busy. There are also discounts in Patreon for my July mediumship and psychic readings. The alignment code, which is a great workshop, which is all about aligning your belief system to bring in your manifesting and to empower you. That's on the 24th. What else do we have? We have an evening with Matilda on the 26th. That's a live evidential mediumship event, just $60. I think it's about 33, 34 US dollars to attend that. Opportunity for a reading. Obviously, with those large events, not everyone gets a reading, but they are so healing, so powerful, and the energy is phenomenal. So check out the Patreon in the show notes. All right, all right, all right. That's my worst Matthew McConaughey impression ever. It's been funny this Easter weekend that people were talking about Trump being dead or being rushed to Walter Reed. He's not doing well. Now, we all know you don't need a medium to tell you that his health is going downhill. We can see that. We can see that without a doubt. I predicted back in 2023 that I felt that he would pass during 2026. I firmly believe that he will not pass as president. There is going to be some form of intervention that's going to happen between now and July. That it could be military intervention, it could be his own party turning against him, and he could be forced to hand in the towel. I really get this image of him being forced out of office. Now, whether that is a military enforcement, whether it is his own people, but he's not going to want to leave. It's like he hangs on for dear life. That's all going to play out over the next couple of months. I do want to warn you that the middle of April feels very, very scary when it comes to this war that's going on. I really don't think that the US can win it. I don't think they're going to get their own way, and they may drop some dirty bombs. I really think the war crimes going on are horrendous, and they will end up paying the price. And I have included at the end of this episode a centering meditation to help you navigate the next couple of weeks, to bring your energy into yourself, because over the next coming weeks, it's going to feel like we're on the verge of something incredibly scary. But I do think that by the time we get to the end of April, it's all over. I think there's decisions made, or there are withdrawals made. There's something that happens that means that the Hormuz Strait is open for a certain period of time. It may not stay open, but it feels like there is a good energy as we get through to the end of April. That last week feels a lot better than the middle of April, but it will feel dicey up to that. There is a world-changing event during April, a real world-changing event that is really going to make people go, okay, we need to change. And I'm talking about people, I mean people in power are really taking control of things. News out of France about their stance in the coming weeks. I think there's going to be news about a mass casualty event that is going to happen in the Middle East, that's going to make world leaders really turn against Trump, and that will have a knock-on effect. We could see petrol rationing start after Easter in Australia. I know that Albanese made that statement that could have been an email last week, but I think there's another announcement to come from him this week as school holidays end. All right, that's what I'm being shown. It's sort of like as school holidays end, they make another announcement. Food shortages are going to become a thing. And the UK government makes a very strange announcement that feels like they're backtracking on something they've already decided on. We're going to see some earthquakes, more earthquakes in the Indonesian South Pacific region, and maybe Tonga gets hit again, or the real top of New Zealand. It could be an earthquake that happens sort of on the coastal
outside or in the water. And we're going to see a few tsunami warnings, I'll be honest. But all eyes over the next 2 weeks are going to be on the White House and the decisions that come as a byproduct of the war in the Middle East. Stephen Miller could well be without a job during May. Could be sooner, but you know what my timing can be like. And Kash Patel could also be without a job. I did predict Noam Bondi in order. I said Noam Bondi, Patel. I don't think Caroline is coming back after she goes on maternity leave. So we'll have to see how they play out. Okay, get comfortable. We're going to do a meditation. So take a comfortable seated position with your feet resting gently on the floor and your hands resting softly in your lap. Allow your eyes to close and take a slow, deep breath in through your nose and gently exhale through the mouth. Again, with a slow breath in and exhale, releasing the day so far. Allow your breath to settle into its natural rhythm. There is nowhere else you need to be right now, nothing you need to solve, and nothing you need to prove. Just this moment. Bring your awareness to your body. Notice the weight of your feet on the floor, the support of the chair beneath you, the gentle rise and fall of your breath. Allow the shoulders to soften. Allow the jaw to unclench. Allow the forehead to smooth. We are returning to center. Not the center of the world around you, but the center within you. Imagine a soft light in the center of your chest. This light represents your steadiness, your neutrality, your integrity. It does not rush. It does not force. It just simply allows. With each breath, this light becomes clearer. Breathing in clarity and breathing out expectation. Breathing in presence and breathing out pressure. Breathing in trust and breathing out urgency. We do not need to push for answers. We allow information to unfold and we allow information and understanding to build. We allow truth to arrive in its own time. Notice now any tension in your mind, any need to perform, any need to get things right, any need to control the outcome. Gently place those expectations down beside you. You do not need them here. Centered awareness is open. Centered awareness is curious. And centered awareness listens more than it speaks. Take a slow breath. Allow yourself to become the observer. Thoughts may come and go. Sensations come and go. And emotions may come and go. But your center remains steady, calm, present, and neutral. From this place, communications become clearer. Interpretation becomes lighter. And information becomes easier to recognize because you are not searching. You are allowing. Bringing awareness now back to your breath. Slow inhale and gentle exhale. Notice the steadiness within you. This steadiness is always available. This steadiness is always within you. You may return here at any time. Take one slow breath in and gently exhale. When you are ready, slowly open your eyes. Thank you for joining me for today's episode of Beyond This. And thank you to Megan Alisa for joining me for today's interview. It was amazing. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share so that I can reach more people. Please follow wherever you are listening. Leave a comment, leave a rating. It helps the podcast reach a wider audience. Thank you for joining me. This has been Beyond This. See you next week.